Discover the incredible transformation. A Billionaire's Maid shocked everyone at the ball here. Emily's heart raced as she stood in the grand ballroom, elegance embodied in swirling gowns and tuxedos. Yet, hidden in her simple black dress, was a fierce spirit that burned brighter than the chandelier's glow. She was a maid, yes, but she was also a mother, fighting for a future where her daughter, Lily, could spread her wings and become a teacher, someone who could inspire their community. This wasn't just another night, this was the annual charity ball hosted by her employer, the self-made billionaire, Mr. Johnson. An opportunity for her to prove herself, despite the skepticism of the elite society swirling around her. Each year, the ball showcased the wealth of the privileged, their laughter echoing like empty promises, while poverty lingered just outside. Emily felt it deeply, that stark divide. She had heard whispers of her presence among them, the judgmental glances as if her mere existence tarnished their opulent affair. But this time it was different. Mr. Johnson had entrusted her to organize the evening. Her dreams hung on the edge of this moment. As the buzz of the guests filled the air, Emily felt a surge of pride weaving through her nerves. She walked through the hall, planning every detail while also juggling thoughts of her daughter. "I want to be a teacher, Mommy," Lily's hopeful voice replayed in her mind. But to make that a reality, they needed more. They needed this charity event to be a resounding success. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Suddenly, an unexpected calamity struck: a power outage. The magnificent ballroom plunged into darkness. Gasps filled the air, but Emily's instinct kicked in. She found her way to a small stage, her heart pounding not just with fear but with determination. With a flashlight, she began to guide the guests, rallying them closer. "Follow me," she called, her voice cutting through the chaos. With the beam illuminating her path, she organized the guests to gather around her, igniting a hurried enthusiasm that pulsed through the crowd. In that chaos, Emily felt something shift within her. She wasn't just a maid, she was a leader. "This is a chance to show our community's strength," she passionately declared. Lights flickered on, revealing her standing boldly in a stunning gown that who knew she had within her. Mr. Johnson, sensing the spark in her, gifted her the evening's gown moments before the event, seeing more in her than just an employee. With tears glistening in her eyes and the crowd's attention, she spoke from her heart about the struggles of her community. "It is time for us to act." Her words hung in the air, stirring emotions in the elite. People whispered, exchanging glances filled with newfound respect and a sense of duty. Yet, as the evening unfolded, a new tension loomed. Could this moment of unity tip the balance of power? Emily's pulse raced, knowing she was changing perceptions, but wrestling with her growing connection to Mr. Johnson and the underlying barriers still present. Would they truly rally behind her message, or would the walls of privilege hold firm as ever? With a flicker of hope and uncertainty entwined, she stood at the intersection of change and doubt, feeling the weight of her community's future hanging in the air. How would she bridge this gap? The answer felt just beyond her reach, leaving the crowd yearning for resolution. The atmosphere shifted as the power flickered back to life, casting a warm glow around the ballroom once more. The guests stood collectively shocked, their expressions ranging from admiration to disbelief. Emily, still catching her breath from the adrenaline of her own speech, felt the weight of their gazes. It was both thrilling and terrifying. As the music began to play softly again, couples resumed their places, but the energy had altered. Conversations sparked, fueled by what Emily had ignited. "Did you hear what she said?" murmured a lady in a glittering gown. "She brought us together, in a time of darkness," responded her companion, nodding in agreement. Emily's heart swelled. This was what she wanted: a connection, a shared understanding of community, the power of their voices when unity prevailed. Yet, with this spark came the ember of doubt. Was this moment merely hot air, or could it blaze into something lasting? Across the room, her eyes met Mr. Johnson's. He stood there, a proud smile breaking over his features, his blue suit cutting through the lavish colors around him. His approval felt like a warm blanket wrapping around her. But with every ounce of admiration came a wave of uncertainty. What did he see in her? A momentary hero at best? As the night rolled on, Emily returned to her duties. Adjusting table settings, directing servers, all while the dance floor turned into a lively whirl of elegance and laughter. Her mind, however, was plagued with questions. How could she be part of this world when her heart remained anchored in the struggles outside these gilded walls? With every passing moment, she noticed guests whispering, and it wasn't just about the night's events. They were checking their phones frequently, eyes darting between their screens and the gathering crowd. Familiar faces, the ones who often dictated the community's values, appeared more contemplative, torn between their privilege and the realization that there was more to life than the ballroom. A sudden commotion drew her attention. A group of young adults had gathered near the entrance, eyes wide and hopeful. They were students from the local high school, beneficiaries of the charity Emily helped organize. Their presence sparked a reaction among the elite, curiosity mixed with concern. This wasn't a scripted performance, it was real life standing at the threshold. Let them in. Someone yelled, breaking the tension. It was a jolt, a moment where class lines blurred beneath collective will. Emily stepped closer to Mr. Johnson, her heart pounding. "This is it," she whispered, feeling the world shifting around her. "They need to see them." Mr. Johnson looked down at her, his eyes filled with understanding. "You've opened the door, Emily. Let us walk through it together." She hesitated for just a second, then nodded firmly. This was bigger than her or him, it was about everyone outside the confines of the gala. With the roar of the crowd urging them forward, she led Mr. Johnson towards the newcomers. As they approached, Emily could feel her presence amplifying hope. The students smiled, their nervousness fading under her encouragement. This was her chance to show that dreams could come true when people dared to challenge their limits. But as they reached the center, a voice rose above the crowd. "Why should we help them?" A voice dripping with disdain, an echo from the earlier whispers. The atmosphere crackled, tension thickening once more. Emily's heart raced. She had come so far, she couldn't let this moment slip through her fingers. "Because we all matter," she responded firmly, lungs full and voice steady. "Each of us has the power to change this community by working together." Would her assertiveness hold? Would they listen, or retreat behind their walls once more? As she gathered her breath for another challenge, Emily felt a familiar sensation, hope, raw and unfettered, sparking within her. Would the crowd finally decide to take a stand, or would fear silence her voice yet again? The tension in the ballroom surged, a crackling energy woven through the murmured conversations and the flurry of glances. Emily stood at the center, heart racing, aware that every eye clung to her words. Behind her, the students shifted nervously, sensing the stakes of this moment. "What do you mean we all matter?" The voice dripped with sarcasm, challenging her resolve. It belonged to a man in a stately tuxedo, his arrogance radiating through the hall. Just as swiftly, a shiver of recognition washed over her. She knew him, an influential figure in town, respected yet feared. "Your wealth and your voice can bridge the divides that exist. Just like these students have the potential to change their futures." Emily replied, her voice rising, confident now despite the flutter in her stomach. She took a step forward, into unfamiliar territory, and the room fell silent. Around her, guests exchanged unsure glances. Emily could feel an undercurrent of uneasiness. While parts of the crowd might want to argue, others hesitated, torn. She looked at the students, their faces reflecting hope and fear intertwined. The moment teetered on the edge of something monumental. Every dollar you donate, every moment you choose to advocate for these kids, can create real change. Look at them. Emily gestured toward the students, now filled with a budding pride. They're here to show you who they are, what they aspire to be. They deserve our support. The murmurs grew louder, conversations igniting once more, some in support, others still unsure. Mr. Johnson stepped forward, catching her eye, as if to bolster her courage. "I think what she is saying resonates," he said, his voice commanding attention. "It's easy to dismiss what we don't see, but look at their faces. They represent our community, and together, we have a chance to make a difference." The tide was turning. Emily watched as some of the more skeptical guests began to nod, their expressions softening. But another voice cut across the room, firm and resolute. "And what then? Is this just a charity ploy?" The question, louder than before, clawed back the growing warmth, dragging it into doubt. The man in the tuxedo crossed his arms, smirking as if challenging their shared aspirations to falter. Emily clenched her fists, channeling determination. "This isn't a ploy. It's a plea for understanding. A desire for equality." She wanted them to feel what she felt, a raw, unbearable frustration for the forgotten voices. She didn't just want them to hear, she wanted them to feel compelled to act. "You want to help? Then meet them. Share in their stories." Their stories. Emily's heart thudded at the thought. Behind her, the students stood a bit taller, a mix of fear and excitement dancing in their eyes. In the pause of action, she moved to the closest student, a girl named Mia, who had shared her dreams of studying medicine. "Mia, tell them what you hope for," Emily urged, her voice softening, inviting. Mia took a deep breath, glancing at the crowd. "I want to become a doctor to help my community," she said, her voice clear yet trembling. "But I can't do it without support." The air shifted again, tangible weight settling over the crowd. Eyes softened. For a moment, it felt like a spell, one that could change narratives and perceptions. The man's arrogance wavered, uncertainty flickering across his face. The energy transformed from confrontation to contemplation. As hope kindled in Emily's chest, she sensed something shift within the guests. But just as quickly, the atmosphere thickened again, heavy with the reality that change never comes without struggle. Would they take the plunge or retreat further into their shells? As Emily stood in that charged moment, she realized she had stepped into unknown territory, embodying a bridge between disparate worlds. Yet, she still feared the possible fracture if more opposing voices arose. "Will you help us or run away in fear?" She breathed, heart thudding in time with the building tension. The pivotal question hung in the air, heavy and fraught with possibility, as they awaited their decision. Would they join her call for unity? Or would they fade back into the comfort of ignorance, leaving hope to flicker out like the ballroom lights had just moments before? The silence stretched painfully across the ballroom, the air electric with anticipation. Emily's heart slammed against her ribs, each beat echoing her fear. What would they say next? She could feel the weight of that question resting on her shoulders like an unwelcome burden. Suddenly, it was as if the room was waking from a dream. Whispers fluttered from corner to corner, carrying snippets of discussion, some supportive, others critical, but all alive with a sense of urgency. Each voice added to the swell of emotion crashing around her. A woman, dressed in emerald green, stepped forward. "I didn't know," she began, her expression shifting from skepticism to something softer. "I thought this was just another charity event. But Mia, your story, it's touched my heart." Her voice cracked, revealing the raw vulnerability that lay beneath her polished exterior. That's it, Emily thought, excitement bubbling within her. If people can connect with these stories, maybe they'll act. Mr. Johnson took a deep breath, stepping beside Emily. "This is about more than money. It's about lives, about the future of our community." He gestured towards Mia, who instantly seemed to glow under the attention. "Each student here has a dream," he continued, "and every dream is valid. It starts small but can grow into something extraordinary with our help." The crowd shifted again, the energy morphing as hope crept in. Emily could almost hear the gears turning in their minds. "This isn't just about helping individuals," she wanted to shout. "It's about weaving our futures together." But before she could speak again, the man in the tuxedo interjected once more. "Dreams don't pay the bills. How do you propose we support this? His challenge cut through the fragile optimism hanging in the air. For an agonizing second, Emily hesitated. This was the moment she had prepared for, but doubt crept in. Would they really be willing to listen? Then, a voice from the back of the room rose above the chatter. You can support with opportunities. It was David, a student who had shared his story of overcoming hardship with a tenacity that inspired all. We want mentorship, internships. Help us learn directly from your experience. A soft gasp of realization echoed through the ballroom. Their eyes widened as they began contemplating how mentorship could mold young lives. Emily seized the momentum. Yes. Help us create platforms for guidance, not just donations. Let us build relationships that last. Around her, heads bobbed in agreement, a chorus of understanding blooming. Emily's heart soared at the change unfolding before her. The slightly skeptical woman from earlier wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Count me in, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. I'll help mentor. Cheers rang out, a surprising wave of support engulfing the crowd. Emily felt the warmth of hope mingling with disbelief, her heart lighter and stronger. But the tuxedoed man remained silent, gathering his composure, eyes narrowed in consideration. Would he join in the newfound enthusiasm or lash back? As the applause broke out, Emily wrapped her arms around Mia, who beamed with gratitude. Thank you, Emily, she whispered, her eyes bright like stars. But as the applause faded, the man spoke up again, his voice low but powerful. Mentorship sounds noble, but are you all really ready for what this entails? Emily's heart sank. His question hung in the air, casting a shadow over their moment of triumph. Would they embrace this challenge and the vulnerability that came with it? A flicker of unease danced in her chest. She could sense the wavering beliefs, the uncertainty creeping back in. Would the crowd hold strong against this new wave of doubt? As she scanned the attendees' faces, Emily realized she stood at the precipice of transformation. But with the finality of that question echoing in her mind, she understood that this was only the beginning of their journey. Will we stand together? She thought, stepping back into the heart of the crowd, knowing full well that the key to their destiny lay in their hands. The tension returned, weaving a new tapestry of anticipation. Would they rise to the occasion, or succumb to the fear of failure? With hope twinkling like a fragile flame, Emily stood ready for the next challenge, knowing it was there, waiting in the shadows. Would their bold step forward lead to an unexpected alliance, or would some remain unwilling to exit their comfort zone? Emily stood at the center of the ballroom, her body trembling slightly, caught in a surreal moment. The whispers swirled around her like autumn leaves, each comment a seed of doubt or a blossom of hope. She wished she could plant the seeds firmly in the hearts of her listeners. They had begun to open up, but only just. The tuxedoed man was still watching, his expression a mix of skepticism and contemplation. Others in the crowd cast glances between Emily and him, anticipation painting every face. What do you say to that? One voice murmured, while another added, this could change everything. Emily's heart raced. We mustn't let this slip away, she thought. The tension was palpable, and she felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her, each one searching for direction, for assurance that they were doing the right thing. Taking a deep breath, Emily decided to mirror the vulnerability she had seen in Mia and the emerald-draped woman. What we're asking for is not just a financial commitment, she said, her voice vibrant yet trembling. It's an emotional investment. This is about fighting against a system that says only a few can succeed. Together, we can rewrite that narrative. The crowd seemed to lean in, drawn by her words. Emily felt a warmth radiating from them, nourishing her growing resolve. We will face challenges, she continued, locking eyes with the tuxedoed man. It won't be easy, but every worthwhile journey requires courage. Will we falter at the first hint of difficulty, or will we dig in and forge a path forward? A ripple of murmurs cascaded through the room. Those who had once been doubtful seemed to reconsider, new shades of determination flickering in their expressions. I've seen it firsthand, David spoke up again, his voice steady. When I was struggling, it wasn't just the funds that helped me. It was having a mentor who believed in me. I want to return that to the next generation. The emerald-clad woman stepped forward again, tears glistening in her eyes. David, you're proof that connections matter. Every life changed creates a chain reaction. Imagine the impact. Applause erupted, hands clapping and voices rising in unity. Emily felt the sound encouraging her spirit, washing away some lingering fear. She was no longer just a lone voice, this was a movement, an awakening. But still, the tuxedoed man remained quiet, shaking his head ever so slightly. And how sustainable is this? He questioned, his brow furrowed. Mentorship is noble, but who will keep these dreams alive when times get tough? What's the real plan? Emily's heart dropped again, but she refused to step back. This was a pivotal moment, and she could almost sense the tension in the air shift. We need a commitment beyond just sentiments, she said, her voice gaining strength. We must create a support network that includes not just mentors but also sponsors, local businesses, and the community rallying around our students. The murmurs grew louder, signaling a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Perhaps there was a way for them to move forward together. How can we earn your trust? She asked, turning to the man, her face earnest. We can start small, build trust, develop sustainable programs, and gradually tackle this head-on. It won't be perfect, but it can be powerful. Will you work with us? Emily felt her heart pounding. The outcome seemed to be resting on that question, a question that could open new doors or perpetuate the cycle of inaction. The room held its breath, waiting. Emily's hope hung in the air, flickering in the tension like a candle battling the winds. This had to be it, the moment they would all decide to step into the unknown together. Would they lean into this possibility or retreat again into the shadows of doubt? With that thought lingering, Emily stood ready, anxious but determined, knowing that the next few moments would define everything. Would their voices unite, or would fear grip them all once more? The silence in the ballroom stretched, thick and heavy, binding everyone in a shared moment of uncertainty. Emily's heart raced, each beat echoing louder in her ears as she focused on the tuxedoed man, trying to read his expression. The crowd around her held their breath, each person suspended in the tension, balancing on the edge of decision. Finally, he spoke up, his voice cutting through the stillness. If you can truly unite this community, I might be willing to listen. His eyes flicked around the room, gauging reactions, and for a brief moment, Emily's pulse quickened with hope. People began to stand taller, their uncertainty shifting into a sense of collective purpose. If we band together, we can make an actual change, the emerald-draped woman said with renewed vigor, glancing at each face in the crowd. We owe it to ourselves and our future. A murmur of agreement passed through the room. Emily felt the tide of energy rising. She could see the flicker of determination igniting in each individual, and it fueled her passion even more. Exactly. Let us become the mentors for our own, the voices that whisper encouragement instead of doubt. Let's show that investment in people transcends financial concern. The tuxedoed man's gaze softened slightly as he nodded. But we need a tangible plan. This cannot be just good intentions. Then let us outline it together. Emily exclaimed, her voice steady and spirited. What if we create a dedicated task force? A group that meets regularly to ensure things stay on track. We can involve students, mentors, and community leaders. Everyone has a part to play. David stepped forward again, his face earnest. When I brought my ideas to the table, I didn't just want to change lives. I wanted a system that supports tomorrow's leaders too. If I can inspire one young person out there, it becomes an unstoppable chain reaction. I'm in, someone from the back called out, spurring others to join. We can hold workshops. Organize community events. It won't just be about money, it will be about growth. As the conversation picked up steam, Emily felt herself swept into a powerful current of enthusiasm. Ideas flew across the room: programs, outreach initiatives, partnerships, all bubbling to the surface like popcorn in hot oil. But the tuxedoed man remained contemplative, interrupting the rush of ideas. It's fantastic that you all are inspired, but what will happen when hurdles emerge? Will you still have the strength to push forward? His question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Emily felt a pang of doubt creep into her heart. She knew the road wouldn't be easy. That's the point of building a network, isn't it? She replied, her voice quieter now but resolute. If we fall, we lift each other. There'll be no going back into the shadows of doubt. This time, we'll shine brighter together. The murmurs grew soft, respect merging with admiration in the air. The tuxedoed man's expression indicated he was considering her words, and a flicker of determination sparked in the eyes of the others around her. Then, just as she thought the momentum had caught fire, a loud crash echoed through the ballroom. Everyone froze, their heads turning toward the entrance. An unexpected figure stood framed in the doorway. Mia, disheveled and breathless, eyes wide with both panic and excitement. They're here! She shouted, breaking the charged silence. The investors are coming, everyone we invited. We don't have a moment to lose. Emily's heart sank and soared simultaneously. This was the moment they had been waiting for, but was everyone ready? Would they seize this opportunity with both hands or let it slip away? Panic surged through her, but beneath it lay a pulsing hope. Would their unity and newfound strength hold in the face of unforeseen challenges? The room exploded with chatter, energy crackling as they turned their attention to the new arrivals. With the fate of their dreams dangling in the balance, Emily stood tall, ready to embrace whatever came next. Would they be ready to showcase their vision in front of the investors, or would uncertainty overshadow their enthusiasm? Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum. She scanned the room, taking in the expressions of anticipation and anxiety. This was it. They had fought so hard to reach this point, and now, the room pulsed with a mixture of fear and hope. Mia rushed into the crowd, a whirlwind of energy. We need to gather our ideas, right now, she urged. These investors are used to polished presentations. They want to see confidence, conviction. They've come expecting results. David nodded vigorously. Everyone, let's get organized. Pair up. Each group can cover different aspects of our plan. We have ideas for mentorship, workshops, community growth. Let us showcase it all. The crowd buzzed with energy. Emily felt the surge of motivation thread through her as people sprang into action. Outside, the shadows of towering figures gathered in the dimly lit entrance, casting long silhouettes that intensified the urgency within the room. With Mia leading a group toward the back of the ballroom for a quick huddle, Emily found herself stationed near the front, close to the lavishly dressed investors who were slowly filtering in. Their demeanor was poised as they scanned the crowd, sipping champagne and chatting among themselves. It felt all too easy to spiral back into doubt. Hey! David's voice interrupted her thoughts. He caught her eye, a firm determination etched in his features. Remember what you said earlier? About unity? We'll worry about their reactions later. Right now, focus on us. We need to believe it ourselves. Nodding, Emily felt the fog of uncertainty start to lift slightly. She turned to the entrance just as the lead investor, a tall man with a slick-back hairstyle, stepped forward, an air of authority surrounding him. Ready to take charge, he addressed the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to explore potential investments in community-driven initiatives. I hope what I find here tonight is genuine and compelling. We are all about potential, a possibility for growth, innovation, and dedication. His baritone voice rolled over everyone, capturing attention. Emily felt a collective inhale. Lifting her chin, she could almost taste the fresh air of opportunity. This is our chance, she thought. We can do this. Gathering her courage, she cracked a smile at Mia, who returned it with a nod of unspoken solidarity. They were a team, committed to their cause, battling against any vestiges of doubt that threatened to creep in. Let us kick it off. David exclaimed, stepping forward into the limelight, a confident smile plastered on his face. We are excited to introduce you to our community initiative. We believe in empowerment through mentorship. Every individual has something to offer. As David's voice resonated through the room, Emily's heart swelled with pride. Their efforts were not just dreams anymore, they were reality in the making. Just as David began citing statistics and highlighting success stories, Emily felt a familiar gut twist. A dark figure stepped through the doorway, not quite fitting the glamour of the event. He stood in stark contrast to the wealth around him. A flash of recognition sent chills down her spine. It was Jake, her childhood friend. But there was something different about him. Him being here, in this moment, raised a million questions. He had always been there for her. Why had he shown up now? What did he want? Could this turn from a night of opportunity to a confrontation with her past? And had he come to disrupt everything they had built? The atmosphere thickened with tension as Emily's heart raced. She had to know his intentions. Her gaze shifted between Jake and the group, torn between past loyalties and present hopes. What was Jake thinking? What role would he play in their story? Emily's chest tightened as she watched Jake's shadowy figure merge into the crowd. Memories of laughter, shared secrets, and old dreams danced in her mind. When had their lives diverged so drastically? The past felt achingly close while the present loomed, demanding attention. David continued his presentation, his voice steady as he spoke of ambition and opportunity. Emily forced herself to focus, to absorb every word, yet still felt the magnetism of Jake's presence pulling at her. She turned her head slightly, trying to catch his eye. He was watching her, his expression unreadable, but his posture suggested he was on the edge of something significant. Let us highlight how our mentorship program has transformed lives. David's voice rang out, invigorating the room, but Emily's heart thudded louder with every heartbeat. She cherished David's drive, but her focus kept blurring back to the boy she once knew. Emily. Mia broke into her thoughts, waving her hand. We need you up here for the next part. With a quick nod, Emily made her way to the front, standing beside David. Her voice felt thick in her throat, and her heart raced. She stammered slightly before taking a deep breath. This was for the community, the people counting on them. She could do this. As she spoke about their vision for empowerment through mentorship, she felt a rush of adrenaline flow through her veins. The energy in the room swayed with her words, and a sense of hope mixed into the cocktail of tension. But even as she built momentum, Jake's gaze burned holes through her resolve. And now, let us open the floor for questions. David declared, and as hands shot up, Emily glanced towards Jake. He remained still, as if waiting for the right moment. From the back, an investor raised her hand, asking about the sustainability of their plans. As David began to respond, Emily's focus drifted back to Jake, and she saw him take a step forward, confidence radiating off him in sharp waves. Excuse me, Jake's voice cut through the buzz, surprisingly clear and commanding. Eyes turned to him, curiosity mixed with skepticism. Can I ask a question? The room fell silent. Teetering on the edge of past feelings and present hopes, Emily felt her heart jolt violently. Did he know what he was doing? Why had he chosen this moment to speak? Yes. David replied tentatively, his intrigue evident. I was part of the community you're talking about, and I've seen how initiatives like this can transform lives, Jake continued, locking eyes with Emily. But what guarantees will you provide to ensure accountability? It's essential to understand how the mentorship will evolve, not just in theory but in practice. The air grew thick with tension. Could he be turning everyone against them, or was he genuinely seeking clarity? Emily felt her stomach twist. Was he really questioning their integrity? What did he think of her now? As whispers swept through the crowd, she caught a glimpse of Mia's shocked face, followed by David's composed demeanor trying to keep the situation light. In that fleeting moment, something shifted within Emily. She could either defend their initiative or let Jake take the reins of the narrative. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. Jake, she began, finding strength in his name, I appreciate your questions. Our goal is to build trust and visibility not just for information's sake but for genuine community growth. She locked eyes with him, daring him to push back, wanting him to understand. Her past wrestled with the hope of their future. What would she say next? Did she have to confront the boy who once shared her dreams? Or was this moment the turning point for both of their futures, reshaped by courage and honesty? The room pulsed with anticipation. Would their histories clash, or could they forge a new path together? Emily stood on the precipice of change. The possibility loomed like a storm above them, its outcome unknown, its impact undeniable. How far would she go to reclaim the bonds of their past, or redefine them entirely? What secrets did Jake hold that could alter everything? Jake's eyes flickered with surprise at Emily's calm response. She could see the muscles in his jaw tense and relax, a familiar, almost nostalgic pattern. There was a moment of something unspoken between them, an understanding mingled with conflict, like tangled threads from their shared history. How can you assure us that your plans won't fall apart like so many others? He pressed, but this time with a hint of curiosity instead of accusation. The crowd seemed to lean in, eager for his challenge and her answer. Emily breathed deeply, pulling strength from the room filled with hopeful faces. It all comes down to action and feedback, Jake. We've set up measures that encourage collaboration and necessary adjustments. We're embedding accountability in the very fabric of our mission. David watched her with an approving nod, each word emboldening both her and the initiative that they sought to protect. She could feel the air shift, less tense, but heavier with the weight of her past. And what about the people you promised to uplift? Jake asked, softening. Are you still in touch with them? Hearing their stories? His gaze bore into hers, the flame of something unresolved crackling between them. Of course, Emily answered, her voice steady. We schedule regular check-ins, and we listen closely. Their voices shape what we do. Together, we can make that lasting impact. The murmurs from the crowd grew louder as they considered her words. It wasn't just an answer, it was a commitment. Emily felt a spark of her old self lighting up, a sense of connection not just with Jake but with everyone there. I remember what it was like, Jake said slowly, shifting his weight. You were always the one who believed in us. You fought for our voices. She smiled, softening her stance. And I still do, Jake. There's power in all of us. Just then, the investor who had initially asked the question chimed in again. I'm intrigued by what you're saying. It sounds promising, but I still want to see results. Can you present data from these check-ins? Emily nodded, her heart racing, thankful for the dialogue shifting back to her team's efforts. Absolutely. We're ready to share a detailed report on our progress and insights from participants. As she glanced briefly at Jake, admiration for him flickered through her emotions. Maybe this wasn't just a standoff. Maybe it was a catalyst for something more fruitful. The crowd buzzed with renewed interest, heads nodding, choices made, all forged from raw honesty. Jake seemed to hesitate, a flood of thoughts evident on his face. I would like to revisit this after the presentation. Maybe we can discuss how I can contribute to the mentorship program. I might have some ideas. The room went silent. Emily almost dropped her breath. Could it be? Was this his way of reaching out, of revising their connection? David seized the moment. That would be fantastic. Collaboration is always welcome. Emily's heart raced. Hope surged through her. She wanted to say something more, to reciprocate the chance he was granting her, yet words felt lodged somewhere deep inside. And then the presentation took a sharp turn. A familiar voice cut through the whispers, drawing everyone's attention away from Emily and Jake. Excuse me, everyone. It was Mia, her eyes wide as she held up her phone. You all need to see this. The room grew quiet again, but a sensation of distrust and confusion rippled through. What was happening? Emily's heart sank. Just when she thought she could shape a new path, something unexpected threatened to cloud the moment. What was it that Mia had found? Would it bring them together or tear them apart all over again? As Jake glanced at Emily, fear flickered in his expression too. In that jagged moment of uncertainty, everything hung in the balance. How could something so promising unravel with just a swipe of a screen? What awaited them behind the chaos? The suspense thickened in the ballroom. Emily's heart raced as Mia held her phone high, urgency radiating from her. "Everyone, look!" Mia exclaimed, her voice both alarmed and urgent. A silence fell like a blanket over the crowd, a hush as everyone leaned in, eyes glued to the device. Emily felt a rush of anxiety. What could it be? Mia swiped the screen, and an image appeared, a newspaper headline glaring back at them, emblazoned in bold letters: "Billionaire funds community program amid controversy over accountability." The article detailed discrepancies in some of Mr. Johnson's previous charitable initiatives, sowing seeds of doubt where hope had bloomed. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Eyes darted to Mr. Johnson, who stood stunned, expression morphing with each headline read aloud. Emily's heart twisted. Was this the unraveling of everything they had built? Before she could process it all, Jake stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "This isn't a setback, it's a challenge. Can we turn this around?" His question hung between them, heavy and laden with the weight of past grievances. Every ounce of hope she had felt moments ago now felt fragile, trembling under the scrutiny of doubt. "Yes. We need to prove ourselves," Emily urged, her voice rising, steadying her heart as much as she could. "Show them how we're different. How this initiative, our initiative, will not repeat the same mistakes." David glanced at Mia, urging her to elaborate, as others leaned in. Mia shifted the focus, recounting their plans for transparency, check-ins, feedback loops, and real community involvement. "But the trust needs to be rebuilt. It has to be a part of our commitment," she said, her voice strong with determination. A moment passed, the crowd's murmurs rising again, voices weaving through uncertainty. Emily felt her determination surge. "We can showcase our progress, make it visible. We'll hold forums, involve the community in decision-making, we will make the inner workings public." As she spoke, she noticed Jake nodding slowly, a determined ember igniting in his eyes. "And we can present them with the feedback from our very first group meeting, showing our commitment to listening to those we aim to help." The room felt electric with the possibilities they conjured together. Mia's shoulders squared, the collective energy in the space shifted back toward unity. Even Jake was enveloped in that spirit, stepping up alongside Emily and David. One by one, guests began speaking up, voicing their support for transparency. Ideas flowed like water from a dam, and everyone in the room began to rally around the budding initiative. Emily's heart soared with pride. They stood at a precipice, not just to defend their mission but to nourish it, allowing conviction to guide their steps through the uncertainty. As the meeting continued to pulse with enthusiasm, Emily caught a glimpse of Mr. Johnson, still reeling but visibly engaged, watching the transformative power of unity at work before him. He stepped forward, finally finding his voice amidst the turbulence. "What I see here tonight is the community I've always believed in," he declared, his blue eyes scanning the crowd. "I've learned from my past. This is not just my responsibility, it's ours together." The applause greeted him with overwhelming vigor, the tide shifting decisively toward inclusiveness and collaboration. This was not just about raising funds, it was about reinventing community spirit, threading dreams through collective commitment. Emily's emotions surged, spilling over like a fountain of newfound hope. She dove into the conversation, helping to foster discussion about goals and the power of connections. As they outlined steps to form the necessary networks, the ballroom echoed with laughter, determination, and shared aspirations. Even Jake joined in, expressing his own experiences, offering insight, proving that paths of the past could intertwine with the future. And then the pivotal moment came, a dawning realization that reached beyond the veil of skepticism. "We can introduce a mentorship program integrating aspiring leaders from within our community," Emily suggested, visions of partnership sparking in her mind. "It's vital our efforts reflect what we preach: access, guidance, and real commitment to empowerment." The room began to buzz with excitement. They moved towards developing a blueprint that included the townsfolk, students, and representatives from various organizations, bridging gaps once unfathomable. You could feel the air shift, tension lifting as unity took shape. Finally, without thinking, Emily turned to Jake, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, for believing in us and me," she murmured, sincerity echoing in her voice. A warmth spread between them, a bond that transcended old wounds. "I believe in our future. Let us keep writing our story," Jake replied, matching her sincerity. In that moment, Emily understood that embracing her past didn't diminish her future, it transformed it. With each word spoken, they birthed something new, a community stronger together. As the evening wrapped up with hopeful chatter and collaborative efforts paving the way forward, Emily felt a radiant smile bloom on her face, her heart full. They had come together against adversity, embraced change, and awakened a spirit of unity that would reshape their community. In those final moments, Emily turned to the crowd and raised her glass. "To new beginnings," she cheered. Glasses clinked, laughter rang out, and for the first time, she felt the future pulse with possibility. This was just the beginning, the journey ahead was bright and filled with promise. Don't wait not even one more second. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach others. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Your support matters.